Hi friends, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel Leela WebDev. In this video we will see how to add the images in the HTML. So why we need to add the images? So up to now we have seen in our previous videos and in the HTML course, we have seen how to add the text content in HTML, the different ways of adding the text content in the HTML document we have seen. But up to now we haven't added any images. So when the user reads only the text content, so he will be getting bored. So the website looks somewhat boring. So if we add the images in the HTML, so it will look somewhat nice. So because of that reason, so we learn about how to add the images in the HTML. So normally, in order to put a simple image on a web page, we use the image element. So we use the image element. So img element, this is the new element we are learning. So in order to put the image on the web page means we use the img element. This is an empty element. Empty element means that it doesn't contain text content or the closing tag. It has only the opening tag itself and the attributes. img element requires a minimum of one attribute. So that means along with the img element we need to provide a minimum of one attribute. That is nothing but source, src attribute. So what is this src attribute? The src attribute contains a path pointing to the image you want to embed in the page. So that means the src attribute, whatever the src attribute, it contains the path of the image. So the URL location, the location of the image where it is located. So we need to mention it in the as a path of that one. Each can be relative or absolute URL. So how you will be providing that one in the anchor link or hyperlink of href, the relative or absolute URL. In the same scenario, the source attribute also takes the same value, which can be relative or absolute URL. In the same way as href attribute values in the A elements. So the href attribute in the A element and the source attribute in the image element takes one and the same value. That is nothing but the URL, the location of the file path, where either it may be a relative or an absolute. The next attribute we will look at is alt. So now we have learned about how adding the images using an image element, and for the image to view we need to add the path of that image, that is nothing but using the src attribute. And the next attribute we need to learn is the alt image. So what is this alt image and why we need to use it? Its value is supposed to be a textual description of the image. The alt value, the alt attribute name takes the value of the textual description. That means it takes the text content. For use in situation where the image cannot be seen or displayed or takes long time to render because of a slow internet. So why this alt tag will be very useful is, for example, in any case the image is unable to load because of the slow internet, or if the file path is wrong or the image is corrupted. So any reason, because of any reason, the HTML document, if it is unable to show the image, so instead of showing the image, the value that is present in the alt tag, alt attribute will come into existence and it will show you the text description of that image, textual description of that image. So why would you ever see or need alt text? So now in which scenarios this alt text will be visible? So it can come in handy in number of reasons. So in which scenarios this alt text will be visible to user is, so we'll try to see in some of the reasons. All the time this alt text will not visible, only the image will be visible. So for some reasons the alt text is also visible instead of the image. So let's try to see it. The user is visually impaired and is using a screen reader to read the web out of them. In fact, having alt text available to describe images is useful to most users. For example, if the user is visually impaired and is using some screen readers like Alexa or Google Assistant, these all things, so which is used to read the web content. So in that scenarios, so the screen readers cannot read the image, right? So instead of that one, so it will read the alt text that is available to that image. It will read the alt text. So in that scenarios, alt text will be useful. Next, the spelling of the file or path name might be wrong. So the path name, so which you are mentioning in the image src attribute. So if the file or path name is wrong means, then also this alt text will be visible. And the another scenario is the browser. The browser doesn't support the image type. So if the browser doesn't support the image type, if it may PNG, JPG, like this, you will be having the image types, right? If the browser doesn't support this image type, some people still use the text only browsers. Some browsers will be there such as Lynx, which uses the text only browsers. So in that scenario also the alt text will be visible. And some other scenarios are, you may want to provide text for search engines to utilize. So now the search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, these all search engines also, they cannot read the images. So they will read the alt text instead of the images. For example, search engines can match alt text with the search queries. Users have turned off images to reduce the data transfer volume and distractions. So some people will turn off the images because of the data, in order to save the data transfer of data. So they will be turning off the images. In that scenario also, this alt text will be very useful. Essentially, the alt tag, the key is to deliver a usable experience even when the images cannot be seen. This ensures all users are not missing any of the content. Ultimately, the main use of this alt text is to deliver the usable experience even when the images cannot be seen. So that means even if the images cannot be seen by the user, so in order to provide the content, so we will be providing the alt text. So that's it. Apart from this alt text also, so there is also another attribute, that is a title attribute. So which when the user hovers on the image, so you will be having a small tooltip. So whatever the text you will be mentioning in the title attribute, the text will be visible. Let's try to see the implementation of this image attribute, how we can implement. So I am opening this Visual Studio Code. So here I am opening the code. So here I am opening new file and the image.html. I am using image.html. So let's try to create image.html. It is creating. Now here I will be writing the HTML code snippet. So let's try to take this HTML code snippet. So here if I try to open HTML5, right? So where is this HTML file? It's still loading. Yeah, HTML5. Now I want to add an image. So I can add an image. Okay, I can add an image like this. So here I will be adding img. So this is an img tag. And now if you try to see, img tag should contain one attribute, that is minimum one attribute, that is src attribute. Now if you try to see, I have an image minion.jpg. So let's try to add this one. So as this minion.jpg and image.html are on the same file location, so are on the same level, that doesn't consist inside the projects folder or any other folder. So directly we can give in the source attribute minion, so minion.jpg. Okay, now let's try to see the output. So I am opening this one image.html in the live server. Let's open it. So let's try to see the output. So if I try to see the image, the exact image width and height is visible in the screen. So now, for example, let's say that I don't want this much of width and height of the image. So we have another attributes like width and height. You can mention width is equal to 200. Okay. And also height is equal to also 200, you can mention it, but you need to make sure that we need to maintain the aspect ratio. So now width 200 and height 200, if you mention the both width and height, if you try to see the output, so this one will look somewhat stretched. So either you should mention the width or height. So automatically the browser will take the aspect ratio according to that mentioned width or height. Now if you try to see the browser has already adjusted the height according to its width. Now this is the height of the this is the actual image. For example, if I mention height as 200, so it will take the height as the 200 and it will proportionately so add the width to that one also, so that the image will look somewhat nicer without any stretch or elongated. So now we will change it to width only. Now we have learned another attribute, that is nothing but an alt attribute. So alt attribute is, we need to mention that minion pair image. Okay, so minion pair image. Now if we try to see the output here, so we will be able to, so now I have added the alt text here. We are not able to see anywhere in this the alt text. So the alt text what I have written, we are unable to see it. So in which scenarios we will be able to see? Whenever a path is wrong, or otherwise what I can say, whenever the user unable to load the images, like in the scenarios, so alt text will be visible. For example, let's say that I am giving the path name wrong, there's something like spelling mistake wrong. So the image file name is minion.jpg, but I have given plural minions.jpg. Let's try to see the output. Now the image is broken. So that means the HTML document can unable to find the image. Now in this scenario, the alt text, whatever the alt text I have written, minion pair image. So this one is visible. So in those scenarios, when the image is unable to load by the HTML document, so in order to give the nice appearance for the user, it will be showing you the alt text. And the another attribute what we have learned is the title. So if I give the title, so here the same title I am giving, minion pair image. Okay. So this one, when it will be visible is, so if you see the output and if you hover over the image, and you will be able to see the as a tooltip the title. So these are the attributes what we are trying to learn. So we have learned about the src attribute in the image, width and height. So which you should mention either width or height, but not both, because of the aspect ratio you need to maintain. And alt and the title also. If you want, you can mention width and height, but you have seen it right, so it will be a little bit elongated. It's your wish. So how to display the images is your wish. And the alt text. So whenever the image is unable to load means this alt text will be visible. And the title attribute means, so when it will be visible is, so whenever you hover on the image, whenever you take the mouse and hover on the image, this all title attribute text will be displayed as a tooltip. So this is all about this image tag. We'll learn more about this image tag when we are learning the HTML tags. So if you have any doubts or any suggestions, please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.